It's Tuesday, August 29th, 2023 at around 11 p.m. and you are watching Co-op for Two. Today we're going to be playing this box here, True Crime Stories. Is it a cold case game? Is it an escape room game? It's not entirely clear. It's published by a company that's published lots of little board games, but no mystery games as far as I know. Let's catch up with the chat and do a little bit of bookkeeping. That went to Las Vegas. Jonathan is reminding the channel that he's got a Fair Play Mystery Book Discussion Club on Discord. And Jonathan's little club there has introduced me to one of my favorite crime books of all time, The Case of the Poisoned Chocolates. Okay, a little bit of bookkeeping here first. Last week, Greg and I put up videos for Sky Team. That is a very clever, very cool little dice placement, two-player only game with limited communication. It's a game I shouldn't like, but I really did like. Both of us liked it quite a bit. What else? I've been posting on the Co-op for Two Facebook page occasionally. I posted about 2 games we played recently as a group, a cooperative party game called Blob Party, and another game called Glitch Squad, a very clever team-based word game, a little bit in the vein of Codenames in terms of strategy, but another quite clever game. Both those games for probably ideally for different group sizes, so maybe worth checking out. If you're a member of the Discord, if you're in the Co-op for Two, I say member, but you just drop by, you don't have to apply for membership. Those Facebook posts get cross-posted. So if you want to stop by the Discord for this channel and just chat, I'm in there most of the time. There's a link to that on the About page of this YouTube channel. There's also a link on the About page to the Board Game Geek Guild for this channel. That's a more asynchronous communication forum on Board Game Geek for this channel. And the most important thread there is the Game Queue thread, where we discuss what games we should play and when. And so if you want to help decide what games to play, that would be a great place to jump in. And what else did I want to mention? Yes, okay, so on Sunday at 3 p.m. is our normal time when we play our play-by-mail games. I don't think we're going to get our next reply from Dear Holmes by Sunday, so what I've done is I've scheduled a live Q&A, channel update live Q&A. Last one was 3 months ago, so that seems like the timing is right. I'd love to have questions in advance. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. There's a thread on the Board Game Geek Guild section where you can post questions ahead of time for me, and I'll address them during the live stream. Let's check in with the chat. Matt says, why the new intro greeting? No more you are watching Co-op for Two. Well, it's not a new greeting. I mean, it's not, I'm not switching anything up. It's just I've noticed something on shows, whether it's YouTube people or TV shows, people become caricatures of themselves. They get into a habit and then it starts getting exaggerated and it just becomes a little trite. So I thought, why? The only point of this channel is to experiment and have fun. So let's force ourselves to do things differently occasionally. So that's it. I'm just forcing myself not to get into a habit of always saying the same things on every video. Okay, what else should we talk about? I do want to talk about the Dear Holmes case that we played on Sunday. If you haven't been following with us for those cases, the last letter we got was interesting. It seems like we've understood the case all the way up through the end, and we understand it basically at the end, but this last letter gave us a couple of curveballs. So if you aren't caught up in that, you might want to watch that last video and see if you can figure out the last remaining little pieces before we get our answer. What else? Tomorrow in Champaign, Illinois, which is where I am now, tomorrow there's a local organization called Kudo Plays, CUDO Plays, and they have a yearly game design competition, and it lasts for about 5 months, and people talk about their game designs, and then they pick some winners and have some play tests and everything. I have attended the meetings in the past, but I haven't entered a board game. But as you know, I've been working on this detective game now for half a year, I guess, or more. About half a year. And so I'm going to try to enter that this year. That gives us 4 or 5 months to work on it. And so I'll be attending that meeting tomorrow. If you're in the area, you might want to stop by and check it out. It's just a sort of informational meeting at the library. It's nothing big. But on a related note, I will start doing live stream game design updates, maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, on the game, on High and Low, the detective game, sort of updates on progress and discussions of the design of mystery narrative games in general. So we'll just sort of use that as a launching off point to have more academic discussions about these kinds of games, ideas. We can talk about anything related to that you might be interested in. All right, so let's talk about this box here that showed up on Amazon, and I picked it up. I really don't know too much more about it. Okay, it's a 60 minutes per case, 3 cases. Here's the one sort of hiccup for our playthrough here. There's 3 cases. They're rated at easy, medium, and difficult, and easy looks like it's supposed to be very easy, so maybe like an introduction case. But the game says they want you to play them in order. So today we're going to play case 1. And actually, look at this cover, Jonathan. What does this remind you of? Reminds me of The Red Right Hand, which is a story that Jonathan had us read on his Fair Play Mystery Book Club. All right, so we're going to play this easy case today. And I expect it not to be much of a challenge for us, but we'll get a look at what this game is all about. You'll see it requires an internet. In fact, it says on the intro page that maybe you might need to make a phone call or something like that. So I have my phone nearby. And this will be a little challenge for us to see if we can fairly talk about a game, even if it's too easy for us. I mean, maybe I'm assuming it's going to be easy and it won't be, but it'll be interesting to see if we can discuss it from a game design perspective, even if it's not the right difficulty for us. Okay, and then the other hook of this game is that these are all based on true stories for the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. So I imagine that maybe perhaps when they came out with this and they said, we're going to base this on the U.S. Postal Service investigators, maybe their marketing department said, that's not the most exciting theme. You can say that on the back, but when it's on the front, don't mention post office. So, all right, so let's read what this little introduction thing is. It looks like the art is also cartoony for what it's worth. All right, so read this before you start. True crime stories. What is the U.S. Postal Inspection Service? The USPIS is the oldest federal law enforcement agency in America, and they've seen it all. They've uncovered letter bombs, recovered millions in stolen money, and taken down an entire mafia ring. Now it's time for you to unravel some of their most high-profile cases and crack them yourself. Your mission is to use the clues and evidence in each case to solve the mystery and catch the criminal. Some pointers. When you start a case, you can look at all the documents in any order you like. The only ones you can't look at are the locked folders. During your investigation, you'll come across websites, email addresses, and even phone numbers. Try following them. You might find something useful. Email replies can sometimes take a few minutes to arrive. Please be patient and don't forget to check your spam. Okay, so I don't love the email stuff, but it's always curious to see a company try it. Each piece of evidence has an evidence code on the corner on the back, there for reorganizing files. They're not clues. And then here's the thing I said before. It's important to tackle the cases in order. Start with the Society of the Black Hand and so on. So we have to play the easy one first, it says. Disclaimer, emails and websites in the 80s and 90s. All three cases are inspired by real-life crime stories solved by real-life federal agents in the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. During their investigation, these agents were able to visit locations and question different individuals to crack the case. Unless you have a time machine, you won't have that luxury. That's why we've included email addresses and websites for you to look into. Sure, they didn't exist at the time, but they're intended to make the gameplay feel more immersive and run as smoothly as possible. And then they've changed the names, etc. And if there are hints, if you get stuck. Okay. And then there's this very heavy envelope, which I happen to know what's in it because I've seen their website. It's quite heavy. It almost feels like it's half a pound or so. Okay, so 3 cases. They're each in their own little envelope, and that's all that's in the box. So we just need this one. All right. So case 1, the Society of the Black Hand, field instructor Tara Qual. United States Postal Inspection Service, difficulty is 1, graduate training case study. So it does very much look like this is the training case, because the next one doesn't say that. So, okay. All right. We can tackle this in any order. I see this is pretty high production quality. There's a full map here. All right, this we don't need. We'll put this back in the box. All right, let's take a look at this here. Dear recruit, congratulations are in order. In your 16 weeks at the Academy, you've exceeded our expectations in every way. Your investigation skills are top-notch, your physical fitness is extraordinary, and your stamp tracking skills are off the charts. We've almost reached the end of your basic inspector training, but before you go, you've got one last test. Let's see how you handle this classic case from 1908. Be warned, it's a real brain teaser. The Society of the Black Hand. A wave of extortion and violence is sweeping across the fair town of Columbus, Ohio. Rippling under the surface are rumors of an organized crime syndicate known only as the Black Hand. We've tied these guys to beatdowns, blackmail, and even murders, but we've never been able to get a witness to come forward. That is, until now. John Amican, the self-declared banana king and successful owner of a fruit distribution company, has come to us with a mysterious letter threatening him and his family. The moment these goons chose to use the U.S. postal system for their crimes, they made their biggest mistake yet. Now it's under our jurisdiction. We're going to bring whoever sent that letter to justice. Your first mission, find out who sent John Amican the threatening letter. The Pinkertons have highlighted 3 possible suspects, but we'll need you to narrow it down to 1. When you think you've cracked it, send an email over to tquail.usps@gmail.com and let me know who your chief suspect is. Tara Quail, field instructor. Okay, so find out who sent the letter. We start with a map of Columbus, Ohio. All right. There's Pinkerton, famous real-life detective agency. There's the fruit market that the guy works at that got the letter. Columbus Mail Depot. Okay, and its location on the map. I guess you could look that up on a GPS and actually find it. All right, remember this is 1908. So here's the letter. Dear Mr. Amican, you are rich and we are of need. We must have $10,000. Give it to us and you will be respected, a well-protected man. If you haven't paid by the end of May, I shall summon men with daggers in their hands and murder in their hearts. They will be at your door and it will be too late. You call yourself Banana King, yet consider this. We have killed kings and emperors too. To us it means nothing. Consider yourself carefully, Banana King. We will be watching. La mano nera, the black hand. Okay. Is it Italian or Spanish? Might be a clue for us. Sent to John Amican, received May 16th, sender unknown. Not sure why this part is printed differently. Almost looks like that was added later. Does the handwriting of that line look any different? We can come back to that. All right. Anything interesting about this piece of paper? Not really, but they had some stamp printed up. So they're organized enough to have their own stamp. All right. So a considerable amount of evidence here. Let's just look through it. So we've got a file here that we're not supposed to open yet. We're told when we have the answer, we email it. And then I've got 2 paper clipped files. So let's put this aside and start with these 2. So we've got a set of documents from Pinkerton and a set of documents from the fruit market guy, I guess. All right. So they've got, let's keep this nearby. They've gone with not photos in this whole box, but it looks like sort of cartoonish art. So here's a picture of the fruit market, 1908. John Amican Brothers and Company, the Banana Kings. From the desk of John Amican Brothers and Company, Naughton and 3rd Street, Columbus, Ohio. Good morning, Inspector. Thank you for helping me. I'm a hard-working man. My brother and I came to this country at 14 years with nothing. Together we became kings. Now these bandits send us this warning. They want to take what is ours, to rob, cheat, and steal while we make an honest name for ourselves. We say no more. Us brothers, we're from the old country, like many other fruit merchants in the area. We see a lot of trouble just like this, but no one goes to the police. But now we must fight back. I do not know for sure who plots against me, but I'm sure he's close. He knows my name, he knows where I work and where to find me. He's hiding in plain sight. You must find him before it's too late. I've sent a record of all my sales to merchants in the last months. It's not much, but I'm sure the outlaw is amongst them. As for the Black Hand, they live in secret. We only know as much as the newspaper tells us. Good luck, Inspector. Bring the criminal to justice. John Amican. Translation supplied by Detective Francis DeMau. Okay. So they're immigrants. Doesn't tell us what country they came from. Banana Kings, you might expect a Latin American country. Okay, so here are his recent sales. Local gardens, fresh seasons. What this? I think maybe this means the guy died or it closed down. So he hasn't gotten paid for this one yet. Lots of oranges. Banana Society, hand in hand. Okay, so he thinks it's one of these people. Order manifest for the allocation of cargo on board the SS Saxonia. All right. And then we have a newspaper here, and he told us what he knows about the Black Hand. He knows from this newspaper. What have we got here? The Columbus Dispatch, Friday the 1st of May, 1908. Other news, we want our gin fizz. Another month has passed and the city's in mourning. Yes, dear readers, you guessed it. There's still no sign of Columbus's favorite cocktail, the ultimate thirst quencher, our beloved gin fizz. Created by the great Henry Ramos, the gin fizz has been Columbus's go-to signature tipple ever since the 1880s. Whenever we've had hard times, and Lord knows we've had a few, residents from all walks of life have been able to slink into their nearest bar and clink a glass of lemony goodness. However, thanks to global shipping problems, lemons have been missing from bars for over 3 months. Will the citizens of Columbus ever revel in that sweet taste of citrus ever again? Well, dear readers, only time will tell. Notice, Hand in Hand Saloon. Okay, we know they've ordered some fruit from this guy. The bar is closed next Thursday for deliveries. Business as usual will resume on Friday at 6 p.m. Travel section. Catching a train, Columbus Railroad Station. Perfect passenger service in, state, and out. So arrivals. Remember, it's the 1st of May today. So next week, they've got arrivals from Cleveland, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and then it's going to Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia. All right. Obituaries. Remembering Video. Is this our guy here? Yes. Okay. So look, the guy who used to own the Fresh Seasons Video, he died. Friends and family of Lydio are invited to pay their respects this Saturday after the dreadful tragedy that took place on April 18th. Anyone interested in attending are asked to visit Fresh Seasons and speak to his son, who misses him greatly. He was a wonderful father who was taken far too soon. We'll never forgive the ones responsible, whoever they may be. All members of the nearby community are expected to attend, so visitors are asked to arrive early. Flowers are very much appreciated, as are any photos of the deceased. The Columbus Dispatch has reached out to nearby members of the community for further details about the incident. If anyone has any information, they're encouraged to contact the Columbus Police Department right away. So was this guy killed by the hand? We don't know. Okay, on the overside of this, we have the Black Hand. Probably shouldn't be doing it this way. What's the best way to do it? The haunting shadow of the Black Hand. A grim cloud moves across our city, unseen but felt by many. Beware of the Black Hand. A grim cloud moves across our city, unseen but felt by many. Beware of the Black Hand. Far away on the coast of Naples, the poverty and pain of homeless boys has given rise to a wave of deceit and bloodshed on our very streets. Okay, it's Naples, so it's Italy. You may not have seen them, but they have seen you. They are La Mano Nera, or as they're more commonly known, the Black Hand. At first, they were considered a ragtag group of swindlers and nothing more. However, these criminals are as organized as they are ruthless, and the grasp of the Black Hand is felt all over the nation, with major activity being reported in New Orleans, Philadelphia, Boston, and yes, even our fair city of Columbus. Well practiced in extortion, blackmail, and even murder, these bandits use threatening letters to prey on the innocent Italian workers in our country. Often these workers speak little English and have no trust of the police. When the fateful letters arrive, they usually have no choice, even when they have nothing to give. Still, some choose not to be swayed. Sadly, it often ends in tragedy. 2 weeks ago, a local trader identified as Lydio was shot dead outside his own store. In his pocket was a note asking for immediate payment of $1,000. Marked at the bottom was a drawing of a gun next to a dark black hand. For locals, this will be a familiar scene. The Black Hand have shown time and time again that they're prepared to follow through with their threats. Thanks to the fear they've distilled within the community, there are very rarely any eyewitnesses, even when the crimes occur in broad daylight. Last week, police were forced to release Joseph Battaglia and Saverio Salvatore Ventola from custody, despite being chief suspects in the investigation. Assistant Superintendent Captain John Russell had this to say: "It is our strong suspicion that these men have acted as hitmen for the Black Hand organization. However, a complete lack of witnesses have made it impossible to progress. Once again, we are urging members of the public to come forward with any information on this case." The investigation continues. Okay, the Black Hand. So we've got Italian mafia from the old country pushing their way in, extorting the local Italian merchants. Reminds me of The Godfather 2. Okay, so it sounds like Lydia was indeed killed by the Black Hand, and 2 suspects released recently from jail. All right. And any of those suspects on our list here? No, just our guy who got killed. Okay, so that's the first collection of papers. This is our second set. Let me check in with the chat, see how everyone's doing here. Anna has come by. And Tina is here. Ann is here. All right. Has everyone here seen The Godfather 2, Part 2? I assume so, but if you haven't, that's your homework assignment for tonight. Okay, here we go. Pinkerton Agency. Boy, this is a... So, there's not that much to this. I guess we still have a collection here. Let's see how fast this goes. Okay, so here's a little picture of Pinkerton's National Detective Agency. I wonder if this is the real logo that they really used. And I wonder if we should keep these things separated. So that's the thing they were saying. Remember in the instructions, they were saying that everything is marked with a number to help you reassemble it. It's not a clue, it's just to help you reconstruct it. Okay, Pinkerton's National Detective Agency. We never sleep. Inspector, good to hear from you. Glad you've got your help on this. Glad we've got your help on this. We've been hounding these Black Hand boys for a while now. Even got our best man working the case. The guy is called Francis DeMaio. He's a goddamn natural. I gotta say that Banana King sells to some pretty shady guys. We've got files on 3 of his customers, all with previous convictions. If I was a betting man, I'd say one of them is your guy. I ain't gonna tell you how to do your job, but if it were up to me, I'd try to find their alibis, then see which ones stick. My man DeMaio's been snooping around the fruit market. Overheard some pretty interesting stuff. Thought you'd like to see it. Also, the local postman's a bit of a nut for you guys. Said I'd pass on a letter for him as well. Good luck, pal. Robert Pinkerton. Okay, that was fun. So it looks like he said 3 of the customers were pretty rough guys with convictions. So Salvatore Lina, Juarez Bertoldi, and Terry Candito. So if we look at them, are they all here? There's Sam Lima. Sam Lima? Salvatore Lina. It's a different person. Loris Bertoldi. Here's Loris Bertoldi. And Candito is the guy that took over from the guy that died. Boy, there's a good candidate. Maybe. And then Salvatore, where's our newspaper? Joseph Battaglia and Saverio Salvatore Ventola. So this guy, Salvatore Lina, Salvatore Ventola, alias Sam. Okay, so Sam Lima is Salvatore Lima. All right, so let's go through these. This is the guy that took over the business of the guy that died. And Terry Candito, alias Terry, here he is, apprehended April 18th, 1908. 24 years old, 6 foot tall, brown eyes, 130 pounds. He's got a mother, no siblings. He's a fruit trader. He's been arrested for an assault, convicted for an assault on a police officer. Assaulted a police officer at 9:50 p.m. during an active crime scene. Released on bail 3 days later. Okay. Here is Loris Bertoldi. No aliases. Apprehended May 6, 1908. How is that possible? He's apprehended May 6th. The newspaper is from May 1st. Do we have a date when our case started? Maybe the newspaper is a week old. Okay, 37 years old, 6'2", hazel eyes, 167 pounds. He's a saloon owner. Convicted for vandalism and intimidation. Accused by several shop owners of vandalizing their stores. Picked up and detained at 4:30 p.m., released 2 weeks later after witness testimony was withdrawn. Okay. I have a feeling those train I have a feeling these are maybe some alibi information. Okay, and here's Salvatore Lima, aka Sam Lima, apprehended May 12th, 1908. I'd like confirmation on what the current day is. Clearly not the day of the newspaper. Married, 3 children. He's a fruit trader, convicted for drunken disorderly assault, assaulted a ticket officer on the rail services. Officers arrested him at the Columbus station at 3:05 p.m., released 5 days later on bail. Apprehended May 12th. Feels like we're going to need to know some dates here. Where's our case introduction? Were we told a letter? That doesn't have a date. Training case. Does this have a date? Case from 1908. Okay. All right. Now we've got two things. This is the last of our evidence. To whom it may concern, I've been hanging around the fruit market for the past few weeks, listening out for anything out of the ordinary. Picked up a couple of bits. Maybe they lead somewhere. Maybe not. I'll let you be the judge. Good luck, Detective Francis DeMaio. Okay, Chet has something to tell me. Did the letter have a phone number in the letterhead? Well, it's 1908, so we're not calling anyone in 1908. A phone number in the letterhead. If you mean, there's the John Amican letter that has just a zip code. Pinkerton doesn't have a phone number, so no, I don't think there are any phone numbers here. And then nothing there. Okay. Okay, so here's our guy. I think this is the guy working for Pinkerton, who's been listening in to try to pick up some gossip on the street. April 10th, March, April, May. April 10th, 2:14 p.m. Candito. And he walks around like he owns the place. I've had enough of it. Ripa says, calm yourself. Remember where you are. That's too much to pay and you know it. This can't go on. We've both decided that... Okay, a little snippet of conversation. Looks like he is not happy with someone trying to extort money for his protection, a little protection racket. It's Candito, who is this guy. He's complaining about having to pay too much, it sounds like. We've decided, sounds like maybe he was... Remember, this is before our... Video gets killed on April 18th. Okay. So he might be talking about he and Lydio have agreed that we're not going to pay. Let's continue. Okay, here's the day after Lydio is killed. Hess says, I'm telling you, Gabe, it's bad for business. Third time in less than a year this has happened. It's a damn shame. Goddamn tragedy is what it is. They were a good, decent family, and now the kid got himself locked up to boot. Who's next? Okay, is he talking about someone getting locked up? So Candito was actually locked up on April 18th, so they could be talking about him. And this would be the day after Lydio got killed. April 24th. Rippa says, I hear Terry's taking it pretty bad. Remember, that's this guy, Terry Condito. Glenn says, well, he better get it together. Amican's on the warpath. Now, what you supposed to do? Poor kid can hardly spell his own name, let alone fill out a damn order form. Okay. May 2nd. Lima says, Banana King, what's it supposed to mean, eh? Bertoldi, it beats me, Sam. Suppose names come from all over. I can't stand it. It means... What's it supposed to mean? Banana King, what's it supposed to mean? That's weird. May 7th. Galto says, just walk past the one by Plum Street. Otto says, what's the matter with you? You got any idea who owns that place? Yeah, but listen to me. I just overheard some guy inside talking about Mr. Amican, and they sounded real unfriendly. Okay, Plum Street. We've seen that before. Where have we seen that? One of our sales records, maybe? Where did we see Plum Street? Here, the Hand in Hand Saloon is on Plum Street. Just walked by the one on Plum Street. Do you know who owns that place? Yeah, but I heard some guy inside talking about Amican. They sounded real unfriendly. Okay. And we know that saloon on Plum Street also placed an order. And look, there's the there's the hand. May 7th, Dalto. Oh, we've just read that one. Okay, May 8th, Lima. I'm out of town for a while. Need you to keep an eye on the store. Sure thing, Sam. Seeing family? Something like that. That's Salvatore Lima that's talking. So he says, I'm going to be out of town for a while. I need you to keep an eye on the store. So, and he assaulted someone on the rail, at the rail, arrested him at 3:05, released him 5 days later. So it sounds like they arrested him at 3:05 arguing with someone on May 12th. So actually, it looks like he was planning... Arrested him at Columbus Station at 3:05 p.m. May 12th. Well, May 12th, if he was leaving town, he would have had to get there at a different time. If he was waiting for someone, that would have made sense. Someone from Cincinnati or Ohio or Philadelphia is why he would be there at 3 p.m. That's strange. He said he's going to be out of town, but he was there at the train station at a time when he would have been picking someone up. Okay, and we'll come back to that later. Here's the United States Post Office and Courthouse. Dear Inspector, gee whiz, what a day. Us guys at the depot always talk about you inspectors, but never thought we'd actually get to work with one for real. Sure do wish this letter could shake your hand. Anyway, if these Black Hand goons are up to no good, we're here to help. First, you'll want the lowdown on how mail gets delivered around town. If you're sending mail around Ohio, it'll be delivered in 1 to 2 days. That's the Columbus Depot guarantee. Anything coming from out of state is a different story. That stuff can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days to deliver. Now, the next part is where it gets interesting. We got ourselves a brand new stamp tracing technology. It means you give us a name and we'll be able to track all their outgoing mail and money transfers. there's just one catch. We can't just go around tracking everybody at the same time. So if you want results, we'll need you to narrow down your search and give us just one name. After that, we can get to work. Good luck, Inspector. Together we can kick these guys out of Columbus for good. Robbie Watts, Junior Postal Clerk. All right. Well, there's all of our evidence. Well, it's not so easy that it's obvious what to do here. Let's back up a little bit. The intro to the case tells us that he's being extorted. He's willing to be a witness. And it says the Pinkertons have highlighted 3 possible suspects, but we'll need you to narrow it down to 1. And then the Pinkerton letter says he's dealing with some dangerous men. It's one of them. Sounds like the game is telling us it's one of the 3 here. And then the game is suggesting to us that the best way it thinks for us to solve this is to alibi them. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. If it were up to me, I'd try to find their alibis and see which ones stick. So what's interesting is that we have a date, specific date when this guy was killed that might or might not be the same Black Hand. This guy has told us, here we go. Okay, letter received May, we're reading this as May 16th, right? I really wish it, this key piece of evidence, I wouldn't mind if that date wasn't so strange. Like, is that how we read this, May 16th? Seems like that's kind of key for us to settle on when the letter arrived, because he just told us how long it would take a letter to get someplace. I'm assuming that's May 16th. Letter delivered. I just wish it wasn't so ambiguous. Like, why would you do that to us? Why would you make it hard for us to figure out if that's a 16? What else would it be? That's unpleasant. And it says, shouldn't we give the salon owner's name and track his letters? All right, well, let's take a look at what we can actually do here. So, and it says, shouldn't we give the saloon owner's name and track his letters? All right, let's do this one thing at a time. 3 suspects, we need you to narrow it to 1. When you know your chief suspect is, email this person. Okay. And then this guy says, if you want results, you'll need to narrow down your search and give just 1 name. After that, we'll get to work. So there's no way to contact this person separately. So it sounds to me like when we pick our main suspect, we're going to submit it, and then maybe this person will run a trace. Unless you see something I don't see. I'd love for the chat to say whether they agree with me about May 16th, though. Okay, so we've got, let's look at our dates that we've got. from the newspaper, we've got the date. The letter was received, we think, on May 16th, if we're reading that right. That's our first date. Our second date that we have is Lydio. Lydio died May 18th. Okay. So we've got 2 dates. And then we've got information from the postal guy about how long it takes letters to arrive. So, okay, so if it's sent locally, 1 to 2 days. 1 to 2 days local mail delivery. So if our letter to our guy arrived on the 16th, it means it was sent on the 14th or 15th if it was local. If it wasn't local, 3 to 5 days. So if it was sent remote, you're looking at May 11th to the 13th. All right. So what have we got by way of alibis? If these are our 3 people, we have one. Let's start with Salvatore Lima, because we do have good alibi for him. On the 12th, he was arrested. Apprehended on the 12th and released 5 days later. So he was in jail from the 12th to the 17th. So that's a complete alibi. Unless he was out of town. Unless he was out of the town and mailed it on the 11th. But maybe he was. So maybe I misread this. Maybe he left town on the 8th, sent the letter on the 11th, and arrived on the 3 p.m. on the 12th from Philadelphia. So I'm not sure he actually has an alibi now that I read this. So is it possible our guy tells his friend, hey, I'm going out of town today. You keep an eye on the store. So on the 8th, he leaves town. Yeah, in fact, look. But where would he have gone if he's, well, okay, maybe he's not. I guess I was saying, okay, if he leaves town on the 8th, okay. So if he's leaving town on the 8th, he goes to Cleveland. Then he's arrested on the 12th at 3 p.m. It sounds like he's coming back from Philadelphia when he's arrested. But if he was out of state, if he was out of state, he was out of state on the 11th, came back on the 12th, then he could have mailed that letter on the 11th and then come back. And it could have arrived even though he was in jail. But it's a little weird about how he would have gotten out of town. because if he's leaving town on the 8th or any time after it, he would have had to go to Cleveland, Ohio. And there's no arrival from Cleveland, Ohio on the 11th and 12th, so I don't know where he went. I guess I'd give him a soft alibi, but not a hard alibi. That's a little confusing to me. The other clues pointed to the Hand in Hand Saloon. If we look at our sales list, who is working at the Hand in Hand Saloon? Loris Bertoldi. And Loris Bertoldi is one of our suspects. All right, let's give Salvatore a soft alibi. He would have had to, in order for it to be Salvatore Lima, he would have had to leave town, mail his letter from out of state, and then come back. Seems a bit of a long shot. Now let's look at our hand-in-hand guy. So apprehended May 6th, released 2 weeks later. Well, he's got a very strong alibi then. All right, so Bertoldi has a strong alibi, right? This guy's been in jail from May 6th for 2 weeks to the 20th. So he is fully alibied out. Candito is the guy that took over for the guy that was killed. And he hasn't paid. Apprehended on April. So he was not in jail during the time that the letters were sent. So he has no alibi as far as jail goes. And what about any conversation here? He walks around like he owns the place. I've had enough of it. It's too much to pay, and you know it. This made me think that it wasn't that he was being extorted. He walks around like he owns the place. Amacon's on the warpath. Lima is our hand-in-hand guy. Sorry, not that guy, this guy. Banana King, what's it supposed to mean? Beats me. Can't stand it. And they're talking about the hand-in-hand saloon. Talking about Amacon, they're real unfriendly. Out of town for a while. I guess we're going to take a break here. All right, well, not so easy that it's that there are obvious answers here. I can't alibi two of our people. Is that true? No. There's one guy without an alibi, so maybe it's just him. We'll take a break. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. We're playing True Crime Stories, the first case, the easy case. And we've seen all the evidence that we have available before we have to progress to part 2. We've got 3 suspects. I believe that as far as we can understand what the game is telling us, we're going to choose one of these 3. We've got one that's got a completely strong alibi. Apprehended May 6th, held for 2 weeks. So he couldn't have sent the letter. Then we've got a guy, Salvatore Sam Lima, another fruit trader, who was arrested at the Columbus station at 3:05 on May 12th. That seems like it means he was arriving from Cincinnati, Ohio. Sorry, from Philadelphia on the 12th. Held for 5 days. The problem with that, if that's true, is that we're told it can take 3 to 5 days for mail to arrive if it's sent out of state. So if he was in Philadelphia on the 12th and earlier, he could have sent it on the 11th and then come back on the 12th and gotten arrested, and the letter might not show up until the 16th. So that's a soft alibi if he's out of town in Pennsylvania. On the other hand, the fact that he's arrested at 3:05 doesn't necessarily mean that he was in Pennsylvania, but it sure seems like it. So this feels like a very soft alibi to me. The other clue we have about him is on the 8th, he's telling someone that he's leaving town. It's not exactly clear that he's leaving on the 8th, but if he was leaving on the 8th at 3 p.m. or that night, then he would have been going to Cleveland, not Pennsylvania. So that confuses me. Let's see what the chat is trying to tell me. One of the people can only write his name. So that's an alibi. Okay, good. Let's see. Well, good. I was going to point out that we actually have more information. We've got Candido, who's Terry. This is the person that we were left without an alibi. I think Jonathan may have cracked it open, though, because I was going to point out that alias Terry. So we have him talking here. So the first thing we have is something that seems contradictory. He walks around like he owns the place. I've had enough of it. Ripper says, calm yourself. Remember where you are. He says, it's too much to pay and you know it. This can't go on. We've both decided. This is and Terry Candido talking. This sounds like he's being extorted rather than doing the extorting. But then actually it turns out that he's mentioned here. So let's read this. Ripa, who's the same person that Terry is talking to, is now talking to someone else. And Ripa says, I hear Terry's taking it pretty bad. Glenn says, well, you better get it together. Amicon's on the warpath. So our guy who got the letter is on the warpath. Not clear what that means. But maybe he's saying that he's that Amicon got this letter and is mad. And then Ripa says, what you supposed to do? Poor kid can hardly spell his own name, let alone fill out a damn order form. So are we to believe that Terry is the person who can't fill out an order form? Is that how we're reading it? If indeed he's saying that Terry is taking it pretty bad, what you're supposed to do, poor kid can hardly spell his own name, then that would tell us that even though Terry doesn't have an alibi, that he couldn't have done it. In fact, I think we can make another leap of deduction here. April 18th is when Lydio is killed. And here, he's arrested on the 18th, assaulted a police officer at 9:50 p.m. during an active crime scene. So I think this is telling us that Terry has showed up to the murder of Lydio, furious that the police have let his friend get killed. And I think what they're talking about here is Terry has taken the murder of Lydio hard. So even though this guy has no timeline alibi, I think we're meant to understand that this guy is not our bad guy, but is a guy who's discussed with Lydio that they're not going to take it anymore. And then we both decided, and then Lydio's gotten killed. Sounds like Amicon is the bad guy, or guy who got the letter. But okay, let's just put that aside for a second. That means if that's true, then this guy had the hard alibi. He's fully in jail. And this guy is not our bad guy, but a victim and can't write his name. If we're reading that correctly, then that would point us to this guy. And the idea that he's left the state, sent the letter, and then took the train back. Let's try to follow him. He's Lima, so we're seeing him in several places. Here he is saying, Banana King, Banana King. What's it supposed to mean, eh? Bertoldi says, it beats me, Sam. Suppose names come from all over. I can't stand it. It means... That's weird. I don't really get that. And then here he is on the 8th saying, I'm going to be out of town for a while. I need you to keep an eye on the store. Ripa says, sure thing, Sam. Seeing Fan when he says something like that. Banana King, what's it supposed to mean? You call yourself Banana King. I don't like him being called Banana King. And then remember that see. So Salvatore Sam Lima has spent $2,000. Wow. Banana Society. Maybe he's upset that this guy is trying to out, like he's a fruit trader and his company is the Banana Society. Maybe he's upset at our guy calling himself Banana King. Sam Salvatore Lima is not the same guy as this guy. Well, I think Jonathan's confirmation about the guy not being able to write, I would have, I wish it was a little clearer, but I think poor kid can hardly spell his own name, let alone fill out a damn order form. I think if we put it all together, it does sound like our suspect is the guy who's got a fake alibi. I just don't, like, maybe he was leaving town to meet with the gang, and then they sent the letter from there. I wish the train schedule was a little more consistent with that. It's just weird. It sounds like he's leaving to one state and then traveling to another state and coming home. But okay, I think what we've got is we've got our suspect, Salvatore Sam Lima, who would have had to mail this from Pennsylvania right before he got on a train back and got arrested when he got home. So as I understand the structure of this case, what it's suggesting we do now is that we send an email, mention Sam Salvatore Lima, and then I believe this person is going to give us the data from this. So shall we try it? Anna says, by the way, he's ordering limes. Anna says, why can't they make the gin fizz? The gin fizz is made with lemons, though. There's no lemons being purchased currently. Limes, yes, but the gin fizz is lemony. They should be able to make it. Seems like they could be able to make it with lime, though. All right. So I think we should proceed on our theory and see what happens rather than overthink it. So let's email this person and tell them our suspect, our theory, and see what happens. All right. So we're going to go to our email client. We're going to send an email to T. Well, sps email.com. Okay. All right. Subject is, doesn't really send an email. Let me know who chief suspect is. Okay, so we'll title this chief suspect. And we'll say, Tara. Salvatore, Sam, Salvatore Lima. Okay, Sam Lima. Registration number 5004 is what it looks like. Is that a 5 or that's a 3? Okay, just in case it's looking for this information. Salvatore Lima. All right, let's give this a try. Let's see what happens. All right. Let's see what she says. Okay. Because it got sent to the wrong address. All right. All right. So let's try that again. I have to type it all over again, or can I copy it? Okay, it looks like the first part of that didn't. The first part of the email was wrong. Let's try again. What is it, running out of power? Can't see if we can't try again. It's T dot well dot USPS. Okay. T quell. That's what I thought we did before, but okay. And subject is suspect. All right, let's try this again. tquail.usps. tquail.usps. Okay. All right. Let's see if we get a reply now. I remember what was the game? Key Enigma was the game that we played that had lots of this sort of AI bot stuff that drove me crazy. Hopefully this one isn't so bad. Let's see, is there a new mail that's come in? Bingo. Okay, looks like we got it right. Bingo, it was indeed Sam Lima. However, that leads to another question. It takes 1 to 2 days to deliver mail in Ohio, and according to the Pinkertons' records, Sam Lima was locked up between May 12th and May 17th. You're definitely on the right track, but any ideas on how he could have sent the letter? All right, well, we do have an idea, but do they want us to just explain it in an email? Or was Anna right that there was a way? Give us just one name. After that, we can get to work. I'm not sure what they want us to say here. What does she want from us? Okay, so I guess we're just going to explain it here. I'm going to say, ask Robbie Watts to track stamp tracing technology. I'm going to say, we think Salvatore sent the letter from out of state, probably Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? That's our theory, that he sent it while he was out of state. Let's see if she likes this answer. Before I click send, does the chat, seems like we're all on the same exact page. Okay, let's send it. Let's see what she replies with. That's a strange position to be in, where we had to kind of just explain it to her. Is it parsing the... yes, okay. Looks like that was right. You're right. Excellent work, recruit. You're right. Sam Lima couldn't have sent the letter from Ohio, but he could have sent it from Pennsylvania, which takes up to 5 days to arrive. So far, so good. Looks like you're ready for your next objective. You may now open file A4. All right. So we did it. We got it. Interesting. And now we're allowed to open this last document. All right. Let's see what we got now. And then I guess she's going to want to hear from us again. All right, so file A4, it says it's locked, do not open. Two stickers here. Okay, so indeed. Nice job, recruit. If you're reading this, it means you're on the right track. Sam Lima had been locked up for 4 days when Mr. Amican received the threatening letter. However, mail from outside Ohio can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days to arrive. Mr. Lima was traveling back from Philadelphia the day he got arrested, and there's a good chance he sent the letter from there, then got himself locked up to cover his tracks. Boy, that's a lot of... yeah, I mean, he's gone to some extreme efforts. It seems like that's overkill. But anyway, now you've got reasonable suspicion. It gives you the power to dig a little deeper. Back in 1908, Frank Oldfield used stamp tracing technology to track Mr. Lima's mail. Take a look and see what you think. You're on the right track, but you'll need more evidence if you want the charges to stick. Your second mission is find 2 more pieces of evidence that link Sam Lima to the threatening letter. And when we're ready, we go to the website. Interesting. All right, let's see what we've got here. Oh, wow, look at this. Look at this. That's pretty cool. So, oh, this is not actually on here. It's part of it. So this is telling us that in the real case, this real detective, Frank Oldfield, used stamp tracing technology. Look at this. Well, here's the hand-in-hand saloon. Thank you for handling the delivery. Oh, no matches left in here. Well, there's our hand-in-hand saloon. So, hand-in-hand saloon is Loris Bertoldi, who we're very suspicious of. It looks like maybe they were working together, I'm thinking. But let's see. Well, this is pretty cool. All right, it looks like this is our last piece of evidence before this, which we're not supposed to open yet. So let's see. 2 pieces of evidence. Here's possibly one. Let's take a look at this. June 2nd, state of Ohio. Person of interest, Salvatore Sam Lima. All right, let's see. Outgoing mail report. Okay. May 26th, he sent a letter to Naples. He sent $100 to, and then he sent her an envelope. 28th, Agostini Marfisi, he sent $500, so he's sending a lot of money home. He sent $100 to his wife, but then on the 28th, sending 500, 300, an envelope, 350, 100, 500. Joseph Battaglia in Philadelphia. Salvatore Ventola in Philadelphia. It's been a week since you asked us to track old Samuel Lima. Here's everything that's gone out. In fact, he was here a minute ago, wanted us to send this out tonight. P.S. He dropped a matchbox on his last visit, thought it might be useful. So we need 2 pieces of evidence that link him to the threatening letter. Okay, so just to remind you that the police arrest Joseph Battaglia and Salvatore Ventola. They think they're hitmen for the Black Hand. And here he is paying them, right? So Salvatore Ventola gets an envelope, and Battaglia gets an envelope. The 2 people that may have killed that other guy, Lydio. So 10 days after Lydio's dead, he's sending envelopes to those people. So I'm guessing that this is one of our pieces of evidence that links him to but that doesn't really link him to the letter, does it? It just links him to the previous crime. these are all stuff sent out well after our letter, so I'm not sure that relates to that. But now this, thanks for handling the delivery. I think he's talking about this guy at the Hand in Hand Saloon and Plum Street is Louis Bertoldi. Sorry, Loris Bertoldi, who's one of our chief suspects. He was in jail at the time, but he sounds like he is organizing this. And Hand in Hand Saloon, there's their Black Hand. So it makes sense that he's involved in the Black Hand. And maybe he has to handle it because this guy's in jail and can't handle it, so Loris, the L, has to ask our guy to handle it for him, which he does. And you'll remember there's a discussion. So here's a conversation between not our guy. Bertoldi says, suppose names come from all over. Yes, that's our guy he's talking to. So it sounds like here's our guy talking to the owner of the Hand in Hand. So Sam Lima is talking to the guy who owns the Hand in Hand. What's it supposed to mean, says Lima. Beats me, Sam. Suppose names come from all over. I can't stand it. I think he's thinking this guy thinks he's the king of bananas when our guy, Sam Lima, is running the Banana Society. And then where is the part about hearing people outside Plum Street? Here. Galta says, just walk by the one by Plum Street. What's the matter with you? You got any idea who owns that place? Yeah, but listen to me. I just overheard some guy inside talking about Mr. Amican. They sounded real unfriendly. So I think what we've got is this guy who's in jail, Loris, is asking Salvatore to arrange the payments of the hitmen. But it wants two pieces of evidence. What do we think the evidence is just these two things, the two things that were in this document? Oh, handwriting. Oh, well done. Well done. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. I think handwriting is going to be it. All right. Well done. Let's take a look if we can lock in handwriting. All right. So here's the letter that our guy wants them to mail. Okay, let's see if we can't find some distinctive stuff. That S is pretty distinctive. thicker at the bottom. Do you see any capital S's here that we... What jumps out? The F's are pretty distinctive. Lowercase F's. Okay, let's find some lowercase F's here. Here's an F. That looks pretty similar. Here's another F. I mean, it doesn't look exact, but it does have a descending part of this F goes pretty low. Here again, the descending F goes quite low. Here's this very print G that goes very far to the left. Here's our G that goes very far to the left. What else have we got? M, that's a pretty distinctive M, how the doesn't descend all the way to the baseline. It goes halfway. Here he's repeating it halfway. Lots of ink being spilled. What's this? I guess the Y is pretty distinctive too. Instead of a straight down Y or a curved Y, it's a line and then a diagonal. And here we have the same thing here, line and then diagonal. I think we've got enough to say this is a pretty similar handwriting. I don't know if it would hold up in a court of law. Pretty distinctive 9, but we don't have any other 9s here. What does the channel think about how close the handwriting is? Okay, so our two pieces of evidence, do we think these are going to be the two pieces of evidence that lock him into the letter? I think that's what it is. This is all very circumstantial that he's involved in some killing, but this is our direct evidence that he's involved in sending the letter. I think that's right. All right. I think that's it. I think you're right. I mean, you could try to make the case that this could be about the delivery of the letter as well, but that's all circumstantial. Here's our direct evidence, if we're right. I'd love to get... I don't know if that would hold up in court. The handwriting feels similar. I guess the A is pretty distinctive too, and looks like it lines up. And the I with the dot so high above it. Okay, not perfect, but it sounds right to me. All right, so when you're ready, go to the website. Let's do it. he send us another letter? No. Okay, we're going to go to the website here. Backhand. Okay, let's see. Well done for getting this far, Inspector. Now for the last piece of the puzzle. There are two pairs of evidence that, when viewed together, link Samuel Lima to the crime. Okay, before we do that, let's see. Ellen says, I like the handwriting, but just want to double check. The game told us who sent this envelope because there's no return address. It did tell us. Here's what it did. It was a little, it required a little bit of, well, let's just read it. It's been a week since you asked us to track old Samuel Lima. Here's everything that's gone out. In fact, he was here a minute ago, wanted us to send this out tonight. So it's clear that they're talking about this. So yes. All right, so now it's giving us choices. It wants a pair of evidence that, when viewed together, link it. Okay, so here are our choices. And well, this is weird. Wow, that's weird. It's not giving us the things we want to say. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Like, we convinced ourselves that it's the letter and the outgoing letter, and yet those are almost the only two that aren't available for us to choose from here. How bizarre. How strange. It's got almost everything, but not the two we want to choose. Jonathan says, maybe check this in desktop mode to make sure that there's not something missing. Yeah, like maybe scrolling left or right. Okay, let's try it. Desktop site. Okay, so here's desktop site. Doesn't look like there's anything more. I'll reload it. Here it is. How strange. Wow, that's really strange, isn't it? Hmm. Well, let's tackle this in two parts. Let me go off desktop site for a second. Let's tackle it in two parts. First of all, let's ask ourselves, if we don't have these two options, and we do have the options on screen, what would be our second best thing that links Sam Lima to the case? Links it to the case or links it to the letter? On the website, it says that link him to the crime. On the folder, it says two more pieces of evidence that link Sam to the threatening letter. I mean, it's certainly not the orders. Hold on a second. Those first two listed above are labeled the same. John Amicon's Order Manifesto, John Amicon's Order Manifesto. But the top left one is the order, and the top right one is something else. It's the letter from John Amicon. I don't know why that's mislabeled. Either way, those don't seem helpful. The newspaper, I mean, that second page of the newspaper is helpful in telling us the names of the people. So I guess if you read this differently and you read it as, how can we tie him to the Black Hand organization or murder, you might say one of them is the page telling us who the hitmen are, and then the other one could be this bottom left outgoing mail report. If you combine those two, then you see that Sam Lima is sending mail to the criminals who are in Philadelphia, I'll point out. So that would tie him to the two hitmen in Philadelphia. Don't love it though. Does the matchbook, it's a book, not a matchbox, does that tie us to I don't think this ties us to the letter. Neither does the transcript. I guess those would be the two I would pick. The article about the hitmen and the mail proving that he's corresponding with the hitmen and that they're in Philadelphia. But I don't love it. Any thoughts? strange. Is it? Yeah, I mean, we didn't really point out, but if it helps, we should say that this is to a person that he's mailed letters to before, that he's mailed money to. So Agostini Marafisi at 91 Via Solfarta in Italy, he sent $500 on the 28th. Then again on the 31st, he sent $500. I think this is $500 in here. I think I'm going to be rich after this live stream. Agostino Marafisi. Is that a name that means something to us that we can prove? Someone in Italy. It's the person who runs this whole. It's the only person he's sending. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. John says, just to make sure I understand the UI of the website, you pick two options and then hit submit. Clicking on one option doesn't load another web page. Sure, definitely that's what it seems like. It says select them both, and then at the bottom there's a submit. So I'm gonna, let's see, if I click this bottom left one, yeah, it just puts a mark on it. So that would be selecting those two. What was the, let's read what the last email said. William couldn't have sent the letter from Ohio, but he could have sent it from Pennsylvania. And here's the article about how they released these two, despite there being chief suspects. They acted as hitmen. A note in his pocket asking for $1,000 on the 18th, but that's, we don't have records from them. So I guess I'm saying it's these two things. One mentioning the hitman and one showing he's sending letters and payment to the hitman. And then this also mentions this, so I don't know what else we would put. Well, what do you think? I'd rather put our handwriting analysis, but okay, shall we submit this? Why don't we take our 8-minute break? We'll come back, we'll see what, we'll submit it and see what happens. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back, ready to wrap up this case of the Black Hand. We wanted to say that it was the handwriting that connected him to the letter. I've made the case that our next best option is the newspaper mentioning the two hitmen and the record of outgoing mail, two of which go to the two hitmen. I did notice something that I think makes that case a little stronger, makes me a little more confident that we are on the right path, which is this. Look at the letter, the blackmail extortion letter. He says, if you haven't paid by the end of May, I shall summon men with daggers in their hands and murder in their hearts. They will be at your door and it will be too late. So he's saying at the end of May, if you don't pay up, and we know our guy's not going to pay up, then he's going to summon the killers. And then, look, here are the two letters that are going out to the two hitmen at the end of May. They're going out June 1st. So I think perhaps this is another little piece of connective tissue here, that he's mailing the hitmen, and when is he mailing them? He's sending them instructions to go kill this guy right when he said he would in the threat. So I think we're ready to do it. Any objection to submitting these two pieces of evidence as our evidence? Last chance for the chat to chime in. Jonathan Warner says, definitely seems like the order sheet has to be one of the pieces of evidence. The order sheet? Do you mean the... You don't mean the order sheet, you mean this sheet? The mail, outgoing mail sheet? You don't mean the order sheet, right? Sorry, John says sorry, meant the outgoing mail report. Yeah, okay. All right. I think I feel reasonably, I mean, it can't be the matchbook, right? The matchbook doesn't really tell us anything. It connects him with the bad guys, but not definitively. Okay, I think we're going to submit this and see what happens. We'll get a lesson in what happens if you if we're wrong, we're going to get a lesson about what happens when you're wrong. All right, here we go. Submit evidence. Excellent work, Inspector. We know from the Columbus Dispatch that Battaglia and Ventola were both suspected hitmen for the Black Hand Mafia. The threatening letter gives John Amican until the end of May to comply. Once that deadline passed, Sam Lima chose to contact both hitmen. Coincidence? Not likely. You're doing great so far, but we still need more evidence. Can any remaining piece of evidence be linked together to prove Sam Lima's guilty? Now we're going to get to say the handwriting. All right, here we go. Ready? Continue. Okay, it sounds like now it's going to let us do the handwriting, or let us open up the envelope. Wait, what? Oh, it says two pairs of evidence. So it actually wants us to say two more, but it's not letting us pick the... That's so odd. Let's do this again. So we said submit. And it wants us to pick two more. That's bizarre. What is it asking for? There are two pairs of evidence that, when viewed together, link Samuel Lima to the crime. Can you First of all, that's very awkward to say two pairs. Can you select them both? Did it say two pairs before? Why doesn't it just say there? I really dislike that, but all right. So it wants another pair, and it's not letting us select the letter. Not open until given permission. Bizarre. Well, what do you think it wants? I mean, does it want this statement about, I heard Plum Street people talking about Amicon? And then this is the Plum Street place. So are we connecting the Hand Saloon with our guy Salvatore? And this is what we want, but I don't see how that definitively links him to the letter. Just doesn't seem like that links it to it. We've already connected him to Philadelphia. Is it asking for proof about the train schedule that we already proved, that we already used? Like, the way we got to stage 2 is to suggest that he sent it from Philadelphia. Is it now asking for us to tell it what evidence we used to do that? Even though we've already passed that stage? If so, then we would say it's the train schedule and the dialogue when he said he was leaving town. Or no, it would be the train schedule and his where he was arrested, showing that he got back from Philadelphia. I guess that's what I would say. If I had to prove it, if I had to guess, I would say it's asking for information that we already provided when we told the inspector how we thought the letter got mailed. But now it's asking for proof. It's just very backwards to be asking for that second stage proof now. But if we did want to prove that he mailed it, then that would be the evidence. Where he was arrested, coming back at 3 p.m., and the train schedule. Any thoughts on that? Jonathan says, it's interesting from a meta point of view. I sort of want to connect the other piece of new evidence we got, the matchbook. But maybe that's supposed to be a bit of a red herring. It's far too ambiguous. All it says is thanks for handling the delivery. That's just not proof of anything. It's proof that our guy knows someone in the hand-in-hand saloon. It's just not going to hold up as evidence. And it's in a handwriting that's definitely not our letter, so that doesn't help us. Any theories from the audience before we submit my best guess? Anyone want to go on the record to think that that's right or wrong? I mean, we'll have plenty to talk about when we finish this case about how we like this part. What does it say here? Find 2 pieces of evidence that link Sam Lima to the threatening letter. This is why my theory of what to put in here doesn't seem right. Like I'm saying, okay, let's prove that we link him to the letter. But then if you look at the start of this folder, it says Sam Lima had been locked up. However, mail from outside Ohio can take anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Mr. Lima was traveling back from Philadelphia the day he got arrested. So we've already asserted this. So why would we now try to prove it? Like, why would we be asked to prove it again by selecting the evidence that proves that? I'm going to click submit to see what happens. I don't feel good about it, though. Okay, submit evidence. Here we go. No. Okay, so that was not right. So it did not want the information about him traveling. Well, I'm quickly souring on this experience. I'm not totally souring on it, but this just seems very weird to me. I mean, it doesn't help that there's a clear mistake here on this website about what these are, and it's so strange that don't open until given permission. You don't think I mean, what does it want from us? John says, sorry, one more time. What is the message in the matchbox? Okay, let's look at the matchbox. Here's the matchbox from the Hand in Hand Saloon, which we know from our newspaper is closed next Thursday, be the 7th. It's on Plum Street. We know it's run by Louis Bertoldi. Who we know is having a conversation with our guy Sam. And then inside the match, we know this was dropped by Sam, and it says, "Thanks for handling the delivery. Thank you for handling the delivery." I mean, sure, it might be about the letter. It might be about payment. It might be about a different letter. It might be about fruit for all we know. Nothing else on the back. If we assume that this is somehow proof, what would you connect this to? If you wanted to say this is one of the items in the pair, what would be the other item that you would connect it to prove that our guy Sam is involved? Robin says, does the message in the matchbook confirm he went out of town? And the other guy watched his store. So Jonathan thinks maybe it's these two items. The matchbook comment and then this comment where Lima says he's going out of town. To me, that's completely illogical. There's no date on this. We have no idea when this is from. Could be for a year ago, for all we know. And we've already proven that he was in Philadelphia and sent the letter from Philadelphia, haven't we? So what are we missing? What are we missing? I mean, there are lots of things happening on this transcript. But I don't see how that really helps us. John says, why would you even leave such a message in a matchbook anyway? I mean, it's a little bit suspicious that he keeps pointing out Banana King in quotes like he doesn't like it. And here he is talking about Banana King, what's it supposed to mean, eh? Beats me. Those names come from all over. He says, I can't stand it. It means that. Does Banana King have some meaning in Italian? So maybe we would pick the transcript for a variety of reasons, but what would we combine that with? We're not allowed to pick the letter. I feel like we're sort of flailing around here. Let's just see something. I'm going to put the transcript and the matchbook. I don't believe this is right, but I'm going to submit it and see what happens. What? Excellent work. The message on the matchbox proves Sam Lima was the one minding the store when the delivery arrived. That puts him at the Hand in Hand Saloon on May 7th, the day Benito Gato heard someone threatening John Amican. This is brilliant work. Looks like we've got all we need. All right, well, that was completely wrong. I mean, completely... that makes no sense, but let's see if we can figure out what it's trying to say. It's trying to say that this detail we noticed about it's closed for deliveries next Thursday. So next Thursday would be the 7th of May. So next Thursday would be the 7th of May. And then on the 7th of May, someone heard someone talking about Amican in an unfriendly way. And we're supposed to believe that the fact that someone overheard someone talking unfriendly about Amicon on some place on Plum Street is supposed to confirm to us that it happened at the Hand in Hand Saloon and that this guy, our guy, was there then handling it. And then that, because he was heard saying bad things about it, that links him. I guess the owner of the Hand in Hand Saloon is in jail. So the owner of the saloon couldn't have been there, but even if you believe this, even if it proves he was minding the store when the delivery arrived, I don't think it does. But even if it did, why would we then conclude that he wrote the letter? That's wrong. That's bizarre. Everything about this is bizarre. That's totally ridiculous. All right, well, now it's going to let us open. Let's not dwell on it. We'll talk about it when we talk about it. Let's open this letter now, though. Boy, that was a real mess, huh? All right, let's open this up. What craziness is this? Is this going to be another challenge, or is this going to be solving the case solution for us? All right, it's 2 letters. The first one says you got him, and the second one says, all right, well, let's read them in turn. I don't know what order we're supposed to read them in, but Dear Recruit from the Career Development Unit, you got him. We now know Sam Lima was at the Hand in Hand Saloon on May 7th, which is when Benito Galto overheard someone threatening John Amican. On top of that, the threatening letter promised to summon men with daggers in their hands if John Amican hadn't paid by the end of the month. As soon as the month ended, Lima contacted Battaglia and Ventola, 2 notorious hitmen. Looks like he wasn't kidding around. True crime stories, how it happened. In 1909, Postal Inspector Frank Oldfield investigated a threatening letter to John Amican, a wealthy fruit distributor in Columbus, Ohio. Back then, most U.S. agencies refused to believe that organized crime even existed. For Frank, however, this was the case he'd been looking for. Over the years, he monitored the Black Hand Mafia, tracked their mail, and collected all types of evidence against them. This culminated in the capture of 16 different mafia leaders, including Salvatore Sam Lima, saving John Amican's life and marking the first international organized crime conviction in U.S. history. It's a postal inspector's job to use the information at their disposal to bring criminals to justice. After watching you crack this case, I'd say you're ready to take on the big ones. Have fun out there. Tara Quayle. And then we got this letter. John Amican, the man who calls himself Banana King, continues to ignore our demands. He will not pay, and so his life will be forfeit. We've called upon Joseph and Salvatore. These are trusted men and know what to do. Where he has failed, others will learn. Sam. So this is the letter that Sam Lima was sending to his boss, saying, okay, he's ignoring, he's not paying up, so we're going to kill him. I've asked the 2 hitmen to do the work. All right, so that's the end of the case. So that was in the letter, and then they snuck in this little victory thing in the letter. And then the last thing is we're allowed to open this. So let's see what this is. So it's a badge, a very heavy badge with a magnet so that you could put this on your shirt and then hold it to your badge. Postal Inspector. I gotta say, that's the real USPS logo as far as I know, or close enough. This could cause a little bit of trouble. Like, This looks serious enough that if you wore this inside a post office, you might get away with stuff that the post office won't want you getting away with. Like, that's that looks like you could get yourself into some legal jeopardy with this badge. I've never seen it given away with this nice, it's like not a pin, but an actual magnet. Okay, so let's take a little 5-minute break. We'll come back, we'll give our thoughts about this game. Did not end on a high note. I'll see you in 5 minutes for my final thoughts. If you're watching, I'd love to hear what you thought of the case. 5 minutes. Okay, we're back to give our final thoughts on the first case in True Crime Stories. Oh, before I do, let me just point out something. The envelope with the badge actually had a little note in it. So there was the badge. And here's the little handwritten note. It says, "Congrats on graduating from the academy. You're going to make a great inspector, Tara." So Tara has sent us this badge and promoted us to case 2. Case 1 was the training case. So there's a case 2 and a case 3. Case 2 is rated at 3 difficulty. Case 3 is a 4 out of 5. Case 2 says, travel to the East Coast where a shady art gallery has been accused of mailing forged pieces of artwork to hundreds of customers. Case 3 is, in the heart of Texas, a mysterious character has been spending millions of dollars on postal money orders. Where's the money going and where did it come from? So this is a little bit of a tricky one to review. Let's start at the end with a little bit of punchline. It was a bit of a failure at the end. The final question asking us to find select two pairs of evidence that when combined prove he was involved in the crime. The folder says that prove that he sent the letter, that link him to the letter. And then the piece of evidence that we thought was most convincing, the handwriting analysis, you weren't allowed to select those things. The 2 pieces that we did select were proving that, or suggesting strongly, that he was talking to the hitman. And then somehow it wanted us also to say that the matchbox that said, "Thanks for handling the delivery," combined with this statement, "I walked past 1 on Plum Street." And the guy says, "Yeah, but listen to me. I just overheard some guy inside talking about Mr. Amican, and they sounded real unfriendly." That information, first of all, that these 2 information links him to the letter. Now note, in the answer to why this links it to the letter, it says, "Hey, you should know that the bar is closed next Thursday," which would have been the 7th. So we know the owner couldn't be in here. So this information combined with this information, combined with this information, this very ambiguous information, should have told us that our guy, Salvatore Lima, was in the bar on that day, was the one who was talking in an unfriendly way, and therefore was probably the one who wrote the letter. That is flawed in all sorts of ways. Even if you take all that as given, that's ridiculous that talking unfriendly about him links him to the letter. Second of all, it requires 3 pieces of evidence to be put together. Some very ambiguous evidence. I mean, that is a complete failure of a final finale question. Is ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous as an answer. I mean, that is completely horrible. That is a horrible evidence proving that our guy sent this letter. Just ridiculous. And you could see it's not the first time that we've seen a website not live up to the rest of the documents. And this does feel like another case where the website has let them down. We saw a couple of typos and mistakes on it. Bizarre that we have the handwriting that we're not allowed to choose as a piece of the evidence. A very bizarre way that it's written, choose the two pairs. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible final thing that it's asking us. And it wasn't clear. Is it asking for proof of something we already proved? We already proved that he sent the letter. Like, if we proved he sent the letter, or he could have sent the letter, so that's just bizarre. Now, having said that, let's talk about some of the good aspects of the game. And I think right from the start, you could say that there's some nice things here. First of all, the production quality of all these pieces of evidence is quite good. Like, this looks like handwriting envelope. The newspaper art and style, it's a very uniquely styled case. There aren't very many of these cases that are sort of done as sort of comics. And they're all done in a consistent style and an unusual style. I mean, I don't think it's as effective as real photographs, but it's nice that it's actually these stylized, it's got a distinctive style to it. And this is a case from 1908, and the evidence looks nicely aged, nicely appropriate. They've gone to some real trouble to make these things look real, look different, look appropriate. The documents are very nicely done. There's a bunch of them that are just for flavor, but it's appreciated. This map was not useful functionally, but it was a nice little element to it. So the production quality of the items were nice. These were a little less satisfying than I would have liked them to be in terms of making sense when you figured it out. They feel like they're a bit odd, but reasonable. The staging in the multiple envelopes was good. Unusual choice to do that email back and forth. Like, that's not going to exist in 10 years. It might not exist in 5 years, that email bot. This game is not going to be playable in 5 or 10 years. That's weird. It seems like unnecessary. If you're going to make a website where you can choose answers, then I think you could handle that all with a website. The email worked. The email system worked. It just seemed like they're creating more points of failure for this game. And if the back of the box is true, that there are going to be some phone numbers to call, they're almost guaranteeing something in this game is going to break eventually. I do appreciate, again, back to the high production quality, like these things are handwritten, all quite nice. So high production quality. I guess I was worried that this case was going to be trivially easy, and it's to its credit that it wasn't. There were some subtle things here about why we eliminated one person and didn't. It felt like there might have been a little bit of a bug in the travel for the guy that traveled. Like, his timeline had him had him leaving on May 8th, going to Cleveland, and there was no real reason he should have been going to Cleveland. That felt like a little bit of a bug in the game. It felt like he should have been, the Cleveland departure should have been on the 8th. I mean, the Philadelphia departure should have been on the 8th if you wanted to make sense of his travel routes. So that was weird. And, but not terrible. I think another part where this game should get some credit is setting it differently than a cold case. Setting it as a postal inspector and based on true crimes, and this sounds like it was a real true crime. That was a fun part of it, like learning a little bit of history and being in a different world instead of a PI investigating a cold case. That was an enjoyable change of setting. A little bit weird that we're dealing with this 1908 case, and we encounter the letter from the mail guy, and he says, hey, I can trace this for you. So it's like a letter from 1908, but then the way we get that information is talking to the person in 2023 and sending her the information by email. I mean, it worked. It was just a little odd. I guess I would be inclined to try another one of these cases, but you know, we talk about loss of confidence in the designer, like that. Those end questions have created a loss of confidence in my part in the design of the puzzles, but I suppose that just covers submitting your answers. It doesn't cover the core mystery that we played. The core mystery was reasonable enough. And I do generally like this system where you're not just trying to answer a question, you're saying what evidence proves it. So I like that idea. It was just handled very badly here. But maybe that first case was written as a training case afterwards, and the other two cases will be better. Jonathan, what do you think about the idea of playing another case? Not tonight, I don't mean, but I mean, I'm sort of curious to see whether the other cases are more interesting, more compelling, and what it means to be harder. I would almost think about jumping to the hardest one. John says, I'd be willing to try another. You could imagine if this was an easy case, a hard one might actually be challenging. We might actually need the full crew here working on it. All right, well, if you're watching this after the fact, or if you're watching it live, but you're one of the people that is too shy about chiming in during the live chat, I'd love to hear your comments on the video about whether you think I'm being too hard on this game. Do you feel better about the solution that the game wanted? Am I being too easy on it? Let me know. Let me know if you'd like to see us play another case in this box. I'd be inclined. I mean, I tend to sort of be a completionist about these things, so I tend to want to just push through and play it all. And then there's the advantage also of being able to review it if we play it all. So maybe we'll work our way through this box. Okay, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you on the next video. Jonathan, thank you for joining me. As always, a pleasure. I'll see you next time.